Hello and thanks everybody for being part of this audios. Thank you for your time and listening. So today we have an special guest. His name is Luiz Bezerra. And thank you for your time on this series. Thank you for your availability and trying to just share your knowledge to everybody. And I'm pretty excited to hear from you, Luiz.
No, thank you. Thank you, Carlos. First of all, for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And congratulations on your idea on bringing this knowledge to everybody else. That's nice, That's this is something that we see in the passive house where it's like sharing knowledge. And congratulations on that. That's for sure.
No, thank you for that. And I think before I start with my first question, I was wondering how well I did on my exam.
Perfect, man.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's not about me. It's just
because I like to say we're all at some point foreigners, right? I'm Brazilian. You're a Mexican, so it's like a Latin stuff now.
Right. Yeah, I think in my intro I put something about my certification that is still in progress, and I was saying like, well, the Germany institution has like a little bit of a time length in order to just get results, but okay, let's try to wait and see how well I did, but only the time will say. Yeah, I was thinking, okay, maybe that will be my first question and see how that goes. So, but no, I'm just kidding. So. For we get into specifics. I have some information about who Luiz Bezerra is. It's my understanding that you are based in Vancouver area, right?
Yeah. Now I'm based here in Victoria, BC, where the Passive House Canada headquarter is. So I'm here in Victoria, BC.
Sounds good. So I know that you are a certified passive house designer and a civil engineer with over 9 years of experience. In addition, you have an MBA in building management and construction technology. Can you give me a little bit more about your education background in order that everybody can be on the same page on this?
Yeah, that's correct. My background is civil engineer. I graduated in 2009 at University of Rio Grande do Norte, the state where I'm from, Brazil. I did my master's, my MBA as soon as I finished my university. After that, I also did another MBA on company management and renewable energy in Germany. So that was when I actually got to know a little bit about passive house standards.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm thinking. Okay, well, you are pretty knowledgeable about the whole topic, so that's something pretty interesting. And I can remember when I was through the process of these amazing courses that your association is doing at the 120 A, B, and C, right? So, and I can remember at some point you were at that point the coordinator of the whole course. And it was some mentioning about that you were the project manager for the first certified passive house in Latin America. That is actually located in your hometown in Brazil, right? So can you give me a little bit of your experience just going through it, and once finalized, what was your impression about it?
Yeah. So after I did my MBA in Germany, I was invited by a company called AgroScience to take some courses at PHI in Darmstadt. So I went to Germany a couple of times, did the same course that you did it, the Pathway to Certification. I did it in Germany. And once I passed the exam, it was pretty much the same timing. This company actually had a partnership with another company in Brazil. They are both research institutions, and I was invited to be the project manager of the first passive house in Latin America. They have one passive house in Chile, but they did not achieve the airtightness result. So that's more of a energy efficiency house. So our house is actually the first one certified. And for that project, it was pretty interesting because in Brazil, no one had any kind of knowledge in passive house. So I was working with the architect in Brazil, passing information to Germany, working with my certifier, which was Camille. So it was a big challenge. And besides that, for us to decide what material to use, it took a long time because we didn't have anything certified by PHI in Brazil, and we could not use any of the materials because we don't have any kind of studies on how they would rely on the passive house. So we had to import all the materials from Germany. So if you think in an embodied carbon perspective, that was not a good project. But if you think about the PHI perspective, it was very good. About the passive house standards, it was very good because we could actually test and build one passive house out of the blue in a city called Natal, and where we don't have any kind of a building specification. So it meant a lot of work. I have to teach a lot of people, trades, architects, engineer, but it was a lot of fun though, even though it took a little bit longer because we had to import like 2 containers, but it was pretty fun. I cannot lie to you, it was fun, and it was very nice to be the manager of it and actually understand everything that comes from the theory. Actually, it's applied on the same way. So it was a fun thing to do.
Oh, that's great. I think you already burned my next question, because another of the question was like, what was the biggest challenge, right? And I understand that at this point in time, everybody's trying to kind of just keep up to speed about the actual principles around 5 or 6. But again, every principle just contain a lot of elements, right? But if we think like, okay, it's only 5 principles, trying to kind of just reach them as better as your knowledge, and again, you have to kind of be supported with the actual team, again, with this list of materials that will come all together in order to kind of just provide the performance that you want to have, right? So if we touch base specifically on the challenges, you can say it was a little bit of a learning curve, I think, for all the parties, right? And also the selection of materials, right? So what about the testing of the blow door testing? So do you have like the equipment, or do you have to kind of just bring a specialist from somewhere?
That's a nice question, Carlos, that you bring right here. Because the fun thing was if I'm not sure what I said before, but I just want to make sure that I just gave the correct information. It's the first house in South America, because the first one in Latin America was in Mexico. So, yeah. Oh. So there's a bungalow in Mexico was the first one. So for the challenges, God, yeah. So I mentioned already the materials. I mentioned, architects and engineers. I mentioned the tradespeople. So it was a big challenge. So as you said it's we're applying for the 5 principles. Everything makes, perfectly sense when you're actually putting together as a puzzle. But after that, what about testing, right? In Brazil, there's nothing. No one has no idea about blower door test. What is that? What I had to do was I went back to Germany, and we did a course on airtightness. So I'm a certified airtightness person in Germany, not in Canada. But we had to rent the equipment. It was me and the German manager as well. We were 2 managers. I was the Brazilian side. He was the German side. His name is Thorsten Politz. He's the director of agroscience. And we did it, both of us, and another person who was there with us to do the airtightness test. So we had to do a few times, because as the building is very small, we had to test a couple of times to make sure everything was ready, so we could actually send the results to PHI, and we got the house approved. But yes, we even had to go through this process as well. And it was tough because we had to rent equipment, take some exams and tests and everything. But at the end, everything worked out perfectly.
So, and when I believe like all the submission, like all the paperwork was provided to the certifier, how long it took you, like, in order to have, for all the team to have the actual certification?
Yeah. So on that note, it's important to say, Carlos, it's once you're because you're certified, doesn't have to be on site with you, right? So, but you have to make sure he knows that you're using the correct materials, that you're actually applying the thickness of insulation. So it's a bunch of documents that you have to send it. I mean, like pictures, videos, whatever you can send it to him to back him up. So once they send all the documentation, as I was doing with PHI directly, so it was easy for me. I was actually in contact with my certifier all the time. She was always asking me for pictures, videos, this was done properly or that. So let's say the air tightness layer, if it was actually done correctly. I mean, like once you're putting the tapes of the windows, for our air tightness layer, we use plaster, but we had to make sure that from the windows down to the plaster, everything overlaps so you don't have any kind of gaps. But it was pretty interesting for me as well, because I had to keep checking everything that I had to do so I could actually send it to them. But once you're going for the certification, if you're actually the construction manager, you have a list of documents that you have to send, and pictures and videos and materials. So that's the important thing. You have to make sure that you're actually following the whole process that you actually signed up for once you did the PHPP calculation. And the other, just one note on that, the other thing was pretty nice, because we were actually working on the first project on a hot and humid climate with no cooling, natural cooling, right? So for us, we had to use this project. It's also a test. It was also a test for PHI, because it's the first, if you go around the equator line, it's the first project in the equator line. So we were actually testing as well. And the good result was, if you go to any houses in Brazil, for instance, the house that we built is 60 square meters, if I'm not wrong. And we only used a 9,000 BTUs AC for the whole house. But you might think that's a lot. But in Brazil, you use that for a 10 square meter room. So, I mean, like, we actually reduced a lot for the electricity consumption for cooling, because we don't need any heating, right? And also we had to use the AC running on the dry mode because of the humidity. So that was also another challenge. So we didn't have any problems with the humidity inside of the building.
Okay, well, I believe that was a really good experience, and something else to kind of put in your luggage of experience as well, right? So, no, that's great. So when you were in Brazil, I'm assuming you were like full time over there, or how was the transition for you to get inside of the Association of Passive House Canada? You were already there as a Passive House Canada in the association, or how that worked?
Yeah, so that's a really nice story though on that as well. It seems like my life is full of different stories, but actually it comes down to a thing that it actually works out in the end, and I'm very thankful for that. So I was not even thinking about coming to Canada in the beginning, because I was working on that project per se, and I had my own company back in Brazil. I was actually planning to go to Germany and for the project, because I actually wanted to make passive house standard heard in Brazil. And I try to train a lot of people. I train a lot of people, engineers, architects, firms. But the problem is, in Brazil, for now, we don't have the capacity, the financial capacity to invest in that, because we have, let's say, other priorities as education, health, security. So that was the big problem, the biggest problem I faced in my country. And going to Germany seems like the right thing to do, as I was already working with PHI, and I knew I had a lot of contacts there. This friend of mine that actually was the German project manager invited me to go there and work with him. But I came back home, talked to my wife, said, no way, Germany, no, it's off the table. And we always had the dream to live in a different country. And I always wanted to come either to Germany or to Canada. So Canada was actually my second option, but Germany was more of a, let's say, a working experience stuff. And Canada was more like a living experience for my kids. And kind of started my process of immigrating, right? There's the express entry immigration process. And then I started doing that. I didn't even have any contact at PHC. And then all of a sudden, I kind of saw on LinkedIn, I guess, or it was on Indeed. And there was an opening, a spot in Passive House, Canada. But it was for the director of education. And I didn't have I was a teacher back in the days. I taught English for 7 years when I came back from my high school year. And I applied for that position. I said, okay, I just tried it. Who knows, right? And then I was talking to the former CEO, Rob Bernhardt, and the former director of operations, Mark Tremblay, back in the days. And they knew that was not for me. But anyways, we had some meetings. We spoke about it. And then they were actually applying for funding for a technical consultant. And we were just talking a little bit and back and forth. And then the position opened for the technical consultant in Passive House, Canada. And I sent my CV. We did some interviews, some presentation that I did it. And then I was hired in a way, but I was a contractor. So I started working hourly from Brazil. As I mentioned before, I had my own company. I was working hourly. And then my process of immigration actually went through, and I just got it into Passive House Canada as a technical consultant full-time. And then COVID hit. And COVID came, everything slowed down, and the whole team had to go to some restructure, and I ended up as the education team leader. So from the technical consultant, as I had some experience on education, I kind of took that task myself, and we had to change from in-person to online, and we kind of managed thanks to all the staff and all the instructors. Like the structure played a big role on making Passive House change so quickly from the in-person kind of education process to an online educational process. So that's my story. And I was expected to be in Victoria in April, but I got here 2 months ago. So that was the delay from COVID. But all good. Now we're here, sitting in beautiful Victoria. Kind of a cloudy day, but amazing.
Oh, that's a pretty amazing story, because knowing that I'm an immigrant as well, right? I understand a little bit the process about coming from another country. It's not easy, but again, right, for people that want to make it work, oh man, nothing is impossible, right? So of course, like trying to kind of just be the pioneers in order to change mentalities and trying to kind of just pursue a better way to do constructions, right? So no, that's great. That's totally amazing. So my next question is more related with the association, and is more like some doubts that I have. At some point, I was looking for Passive House Canada, and I was noticing that there are some other, I don't know if are levels or areas. One is Passive House Institute, and the other one is Passive House Association. Maybe, I don't know, I don't have them straight in my mind, but can you give me a little bit of understanding about the association and the institution situation in order to kind of I can understand better what those areas are?
Yeah, what I can tell you is, Carlos, is Passive House Institute, let's say they are of course, I don't like to say the creators, right? Because we had a house in Saskatoon, which is actually the pioneer of Passive House. So it's pretty much Canadian. Unfortunately, we didn't have the investment to actually develop that project. But yeah, Passive House Institute, they were the developers of Passive House Standard. Okay, they had a lot of help from Sweden guy as well, and from the Canadians as well. But let's say they are the hosts or the owners of the Passive House Standard. And what they do is they have affiliates all around the world. Passive House Canada is the Canadian affiliate from Passive House Institute. Of course, any other association can teach about passive house standards. I mean, like, you have great professionals here in Canada. You have other associations who also teach about passive house standards here. But yes, Passive House Canada is the IFA member. It's the International Passive House Affiliates member in Canada. Okay. So, but the relation is, as you know, this is an open source kind of standard. So anyone, I mean, like, you have, I don't know how many certifiers here in Canada, but there are a few in the back of my mind that they're here and they can teach about Passive House. But what I can say is that Passive House Canada is a non-profit association that our main goal is to train, advocate, and make the passive house standard building heard and improved in a way that we can actually make this as a goal. It was a pretty interesting thing. Chris Ballard, our CEO, was asking where do we see Passive House Canada or Passive House Standard going? And my answer to him was, I would love to see this as a national standard, as a national STAP code, because it's not only about improving our buildings, right? But it's about giving people a better home. I mean, like, because at the end of the day, that's where you go, right? That's where you want to be. It's your home. And the comfort level that passive house standards bring, that's the best you can have nowadays in the world, right? I don't know about the next years, everything's always improving, right? But what we have now with the passive house standard is what we can have as the leading standard on construction. And that's the reason why I like to say that I work as much as I can in a way that I can bring this as a reality for everyone else. This should be affordable for everyone around the globe. Better home, air quality, temperature. That's the basic that we need to make sure that it's not about improving just for improvements, just to reduce electricity, just to reduce this and that. It's not. It's more than that. It's about comfort. It's about everyone having the proper home they deserve. So that's the reason why nowadays I'm really working way higher, because I just want to see this, on the top of it, so everybody can have a proper home.
How do you like it so far? Thank you for being with us. If you want to know about the following part, just keep in touch and follow us for the next part of this episode.
And please don't forget to leave me a review on whichever platform that you're using to listen to this podcast. Either good or bad. Remember, Mexicans have thicker skin. You won't hurt my feelings, that's for sure. And better yet, if it has some good criticism, so I can learn from it and improve it, that will be even greater. I understand this hasn't been perfect, but it can be better every time. I recognize your time is valuable. I would like you to enjoy this moment with me as well. Also, if you like what you get from this audio, I will recommend you to be the first to share this info with your friends, so maybe they can get something valuable from it as well. Thanks for listening, and let's meet again soon.